Exponential leadership begins with an absolute devotion to your inner work. And it is through that devotion that you will amplify the potency of your gifts, the potency of your message, and the potency of your impact. In this edition of Thursday's Thought, I get super personal about the shifts that I've been experiencing in my mental, emotional, and physical health over the past 11 months. And when I say personal, I mean really fucking personal. Tune in and learn what it takes to be devoted to inner growth, why inner work is essential for leadership, how plant medicine has really supported me, and 5 steps to create exponential leadership through inner work. In this episode, I definitely offer a behind-the-scenes look to offer you a more holistic perspective on my life. Now, if you align with my idea of being devoted to inner work to create exponential leadership, then I invite you to take the last and final seat at the activation retreat, which is taking place this September 2019. This is an intimate and profoundly transformational 4-day retreat for leaders that will help you embody your mission, deepen your spiritual practice, and activate your voice and your gifts. And like I said, only 1 seat remains. So apply today. Don't wait. Apply today. rubyfremon.com/activation-retreat. And make sure you hit me up on social media and let me know that you sent in your application. Now, whether you're new to this podcast or you're a loyal thought leader, thank you so much. Please make sure you take a moment to download a few episodes and drop a rating and review on iTunes. I am almost at 100 ratings. I would love to hit that soon. So please, if you haven't done so yet, drop a rating and review, especially if you gain something from these podcast episodes. It would really help me out. Now, get ready, because I'm about to let you in on what's been taking place behind the scenes in my life. So sit back, relax, and let's fucking do this. Hey, thought leaders, and welcome to this edition of Thursday's Thought, where I'm going to get pretty personal today. I am fresh off of a pretty major healing journey that I took last week. That's been part of a bigger healing journey that I have been devoted to over the last 11 months. Now, before I dive into everything, I want to address what I believe is the most common misconception about healing. We are taught, for many of us at a very young age, that we can break, that we can become broken. And that is not the case. We may feel broken. We may feel a whole bunch of things, but we're never anything other than whole. And so when we talk about the idea of healing, this is us being devoted to a factor in our life that is meant to be there. It's a piece of our life that we're always going to be on. This healing journey never ends. We're always on it, whether you're conscious of it or you're not. For those of you who are unconscious to your healing journey, at some point in time, it's going to nip you in the butt and show you, like, here I am, and I need your attention. For those of us who are consciously on our healing journeys, take pride in being where you're at. And know that there is no end in sight, because there is no end to this work. If we think about our physical vessels, our flesh, if we get a cut on our body or a bruise on our body will heal itself. And this is very aligned with all other aspects of our healing, of our ability to heal. We can and will heal. And there's no point in time where the wounds stop accumulating. There's no point in time where the trauma stops accumulating. There's no point in time where we stop being hurt, because we're living this very, very human life in this 3D world where pain is inevitable. It's part of this experience, where we can be in situations where we experience trauma. We can be in situations where we experience new wounds. It's all a part of growth. And so as we are on this journey of evolution, and this journey of evolution, we are also simultaneously on this journey of healing. The two go hand in hand. As long as you are growing, you are healing. So when I talk about healing in today's episode, please do not take it as in I'm on this temporary journey to heal a specific thing. No, I am absolutely devoted to my healing, and I have been consciously devoted to my healing since 2012, when I first embarked on this journey. But we are all unconsciously in our healing because our body and our spirit and our mind is constantly doing its thing. Just like our skin does its thing to repair a cut or a bruise. The key is to become conscious of it, because once you become conscious of your healing, you gain the power to either accelerate it or decrease momentum. So for me, the last 11 months of my life, I have accelerated momentum. And I want to share with you why. So like I said, I'm getting personal. Part of me feels like, oh my God, am I going to regret this? And at the same time, I am sharing with the intention to support you on your journey, because I believe that this is a conversation that needs to be had. And I believe that this is a conversation that is going to support at least one person. I know this. So let's rewind to 11 months ago. Actually, you know what? Let's rewind even further back to the beginning of 2018. Beginning of 2018, I was starting to feel very fatigued. I knew, because I'd experienced this before, that adrenal fatigue was creeping its way back in. As a solopreneur, this is something that can happen when you're not managing your energy efficiently, and I wasn't. I started taking better care of myself when I noticed this coming back into my periphery. I've always been super conscious of what I put into my body. You know, I eat really, really well. I eat clean foods. I take care of my body. I work out regularly. You know, I nourish my mind and my spirit. It's just been a part of my daily practice. And I started to realize that it wasn't enough. What I was doing wasn't enough. Things were shifting. By the time September rolled around, I was visiting back home, and I was in a situation where I was faced with a very, very old trauma. A trauma that has definitely been the you know, if we were to call like the root of all traumas that we have, this was the root of all my traumas. And it was in my face for about 10 days straight. Now, if we rewind a little further than that, for those of you who haven't listened to episode 1, if you're new to this podcast, I highly recommend you listen to episode 1, because I share a bit more of my history and my story. But basically, when I was about 22 years old, I was diagnosed with PTSD, clinical depression, anxiety disorder, so severe I would black out, rheumatoid arthritis, and fibromyalgia, so severe that I couldn't get out of bed. I was put on 5 different prescriptions, and that was when my addiction began. Now, what I know now at this point in my journey, at the age of 37, almost 38, I know that it was the PTSD that actually triggered everything else to come up. The PTSD triggered the rheumatoid arthritis and the fibromyalgia. The PTSD triggered my depression to worsen. The PTSD triggered my anxiety to worsen. And it was all due to this one situation in my family, this trauma. And that's when the trauma occurred, when I was 21, 22, actually. So fast forward to September 2018, when I come face to face with this trauma. I've done all this work, this is a lot of years. This is almost, God, it's like well over a decade of work that I've put into myself. And I leave home, my hometown of Vancouver, to come back to my new home of LA after this 10-day experience of being in the vicinity of the people who were part of this experience that triggered the trauma to happen. And I come home and I'm not feeling well. My physical body starts to really shut down. And I'm thinking, oh my God, the adrenal fatigue is like really kicked in. But it was different. It was so much more than that. I noticed that my IBS had flared up to a point where no matter what I ate, I couldn't digest it. No matter what I ate, juices would cause a stomach ache. I was living in pain every single day. My depression worsened. My anxiety was off the fucking charts. Like, I hadn't experienced anxiety like this ever in my life. It had never manifested in this way, where it would cause me to physically shake, where I couldn't get through a day without my natural remedies and my CBD oil. And it was, to be honest, it was crippling. It really felt crippling. And I started getting a lot of tests done. At my age, women, we got to get these hormonal tests done. And I got the most extensive types of hormonal testing done, most extensive types of hormonal panels done, tons of blood tests, and everything looked fine. My hormones are great. Everything on the tests look great. So then why am I feeling this way? Why does it feel like my body is working against me? Why do I feel super lethargic? Why is it hard to move? Why can't I push as much as I normally do at the gym? Why am I in so much pain every single day? Am I now experiencing suicidal thoughts on and off? Why am I now experiencing anxiety that is crippling me from doing the work that I know I'm here to do, the work that I'm excited to do? Why is it that when everything in my business is going really well, everything with my mission is going really well, everything in my marriage is going really well, that I'm experiencing this? And I was fucking frustrated because, I should know better. I should know how to get myself out of this. I should know how to get myself out of this spiral of depression. I should know how to manage my anxiety. I should know better. I've done all this work. I've done over a decade of work. Why the fuck is this coming up? And that would only make things worse. These thoughts would only just amplify what was actually going on. Now, I'd have a few weeks of like really great energy, and it's like I'm back to normal. I'm back to my normal self. And then a couple of weeks of just a shitstorm, hell weeks. After thorough testing and a process of elimination, I was diagnosed by my naturopath with something called PMDD. And this is a condition that affects like 8 to 9% of women. And it's the simplest way I can explain it is your neurotransmitters register the drops in your progesterone in a negative way. So when my progesterone levels naturally go down, as they do in a female cycle, that's when my brain kicks in and starts going nuts. Like, oh my God, this isn't okay. And the depression comes in and the anxiety comes in. Oh, and I failed to mention the brain fog so bad that I couldn't remember names, couldn't remember words when I was trying to speak them. When you're a solopreneur and you're going through things like this that actually cripple you from doing the work that you're here to do, it's really, really frustrating. And so from September to December, I really took a seat back as much as I could from taking on anything that I didn't need to take on, because to me, my priority has always been my health. That's how my journey started. I didn't start by saying, here's my purpose and I want to pursue it. I started by getting healthy. I started by really taking ownership of my body, of my physical vessel, and doing what I need to do to nurture it. I started by taking ownership of my mental health and doing what I need to nurture that. This is how I started. This is how I got to where I'm at. And so I didn't want to, at this stage in my journey, to leave that behind because I need to run a business. So I started making some shifts. Of course, I still had my 3-day event to plan that was taking place in March 2019 or February 2019. And so I had enough on my plate. I didn't, as much as I accepted the diagnosis of PMDD because it fucking made sense, it actually brought me a sense of relief. I felt like, wow, like, okay, like so much of my life now makes sense. Like I get this. Like I could literally look back at journal entries and sync them up with my cycle and say, whoa, like, yes, this is like definitely no bullshit. This is what's going on. And it brought the sense of relief because I could separate myself from it. I could say, okay, this is the PMDD. This is not me. And at the same time, in accepting this, I also decided that I'm going to overcome this. I don't want this diagnosis to define my life. I don't want to have like 10 to 12 days out of the month where I really can't work. That's not okay with me. What was prescribed, the suggested prescriptions, because there is no treatment really, I didn't want any of them. They didn't jive with me. I was like, this doesn't feel aligned. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get back on antidepressants when I'm only feeling depression like maybe 2 weeks out of the month. I don't want to get back on like birth control because that just seems dumb. It took, quite frankly, that's exactly what I said. I didn't want to go the traditional prescription route because I've been there, done that. And I believe in all of my heart that there is something out there that can support me. So prior to this, I have done plant medicine. I love plant medicine. And I want to start off by saying, I'm not here to push you into plant medicine. Plant medicine needs to call you in. If it calls to you, you'll know it because you'll have no questions. You'll just feel ready to take part. So I want to preface this part of the discussion with that. So I've done ayahuasca before, and I decided for December to cap off the year to really help me work through these energies. I wanted to work with ayahuasca again. And I found a new amazing tribe to sit with. And I sat and I had an incredibly difficult ayahuasca journey to cap off my 2018. In this journey, I was shown all the ways in which I perpetuate my own pain. It literally felt like a slideshow that Mama Aya had put in front of me and was holding my eyes open to watch. And what I was watching was how I was taking on everyone else's pain, how I was taking on everyone else's suffering, the suffering of my parents from the trauma that we've all endured, the suffering of my brother, and then of course my own suffering. I was shown that, yeah, I've definitely worked through my PTSD mentally. And now it's in my gut. It's time to work on it physically. And ironically, my IBS wasn't in my life until this trauma happened. So it just made sense. I was able to connect all these dots during that December ceremony of like, wow, okay, this pain that I'm feeling in my gut, this is due to me perpetuating this trauma unconsciously. See, even with where I'm at, as a leader in my journey, I still have these unconscious tendencies to harbor my pain and harbor my wounds. And I literally was not conscious to this. And I shared this with you because I'm not too proud to share this with you. I'm humbling myself to share this with you because at the end of the day, we're all human and we're all doing the best that we can. And so for me, that was such a major insight to be able to see that, to be able to see how unconsciously I was harboring all this pain and that was manifesting in this horrific IBS. And after that ceremony, I realized, research has shown your gut is your second brain. It's no wonder I'm feeling so depressed. It's no wonder I'm feeling so anxious. Like, it's all fucking related. And so I committed to another plant ceremony. Actually, it was in March. I did 2 journeys with ayahuasca and 1 journey with combo. Combo medicine is frog medicine. And if you're interested in learning more, I'll put a link in the show notes because I'm not an expert in it, but I'll share a link to an article that's really deep and has a lot of great links to clinical research studies. But combo is basically a physical body medicine. And that was my first time working with that medicine. And I remember leaving that 3-day ceremony feeling, like so much lighter and so much more vibrant. It was as if the plant medicines were helping me access this unconscious part of myself that was perpetuating my pain. And I realized, like, this is what I need to do. For me, this work felt super aligned. Now, in addition to my journeys, I had stepped up my morning routine, spending more time with myself, making sure I was doing breath work in addition to meditation, making sure I was really spending time with myself, making sure that I was honoring my needs each and every single day. Whatever I needed, I would give myself that, even if that meant spending less time at my laptop, spending less time on my phone, spending less time posting. I mean, I can't tell you how little time I spend on Facebook now. Like, it's probably been a good 4 or 5 months that I don't show up on Facebook regularly. Like, if I open my Facebook tab during the day, it's to check in on my groups and that's it. I'm like in and out. There's just been so many changes going on behind the scenes that I've been keeping quiet about because, when you're in it, you don't have to share everything. You get to be in it. And I got to give myself that space to be in it. I did another ceremony, 3 days in June, 2 sits with ayahuasca, 1 sit with combo, again, to continue deepening my healing, to continue uncovering what it is that I'm not seeing, to continue connecting the dots so that I can then see what it is that I can do to actually start to shift what's going on. And then finally, last week, I literally just came out of the forest, spending 3 days in 4 different ceremonies, 3 sits with combo medicine, which was really, really intense. For anyone who's ever done combo, it is intense. And 1 journey with psilocybin, which was my first time working with that medicine. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. In addition to that, being coached by my shaman, having space created for me to do the work. And then to complete that, I decided to do a private breathwork session a few days after to help with the integration. And it was intense, again, like just releasing some of the physical trauma from my body, releasing ancestral trauma. We hear a lot about ancestral trauma, and maybe you've already started to explore this, but it's true. Like, our cells have memory, just like your muscles have memory. Our cells hold memory. And so all these traumas that you experience in your life, they're held in your body. And all these traumas from your mom, your grandma, or your great grandma, your dad, your granddad, your great granddad, your uncles down the line, like, this trauma is held in our cellular makeup. And so the way that I describe it is the trauma that doesn't feel like yours. Like, there's a pattern that you have, but you can't pinpoint when you picked it up. That could be something that's ancestral. And the breathwork session really supported me in releasing some of that. I mean, my body was literally convulsing during this session. I'm sharing all of this with you not because I'm trying to turn you on to plant medicine or breath work. I mean, if you are turned on to it now, great. If you're not, great. I'm sharing it with you because I want to be really open and honest about my devotion to my inner work, because I believe it's super important for you to see what goes on behind the scenes. I never, ever, ever want any of you to put me on a pedestal. In fact, the thought of that brings tears to my eyes. I am not here to be placed on a pedestal. I am you and you are me. I believe in my philosophy of lead by being. The reason that I'm sharing this with you is to show you what it's like to be undeniably devoted to the inner work, to the process of unbecoming and becoming, to the process of getting in touch with your being and bringing that out to the surface. Because this work that I do with leaders, I cannot do this work to the capacity that I want to do it if my physical body is working against me. I cannot do this work. I cannot lead my mission if I am not first leading my life. And to lead our lives, we must be devoted to the inner work. And it's the inner work that creates the exponential leadership. Every time that I deepen my inner work, I shit you not, my leadership levels become more powerful. My gifts become more activated. And I gain the insight to show up in greater ways for the people that I'm here to serve. My medicine becomes more potent the more that I give to myself. And that is what I'm encouraging you to reflect on, is how devoted are you to your inner work? Because if you are here to lead your mission, which I'm assuming you are because you're listening to this podcast and you're still here, then you need to be as devoted to your inner work as you are to your purpose, if not more. You know, for me, I'm actually more devoted to my inner work. I don't look at creating time for inner work as needing to sacrifice anything. My inner work is non-negotiable for me. I'm here to do whatever the fuck it takes to be the leader that I'm here to be. And that means I'm here to take hold and take charge of my healing. I'm here to accelerate it. I'm here to do whatever the fuck I need to do to be the leader that I know I'm here to be. So I feel like I've rambled quite a bit. But I really do want to share with you some steps, because I know at this point you're probably wondering, well, you know, I really want to do this. I really want to step into my inner work at a different level. I really want to create exponential leadership. I mean, you heard my episode a few episodes ago where I said I created a $25,000 month in June. That's the same month I've been like ultimately devoted to my inner work. That's the same month I've been like creating an insane amount of space for myself, isolating, being on my own to do this work. And I was able to create a $25,000 month. Exponential leadership is created through inner work. And so I want to share with you some steps for you to step into exponential leadership through inner work. So step number one, and this is often the hardest. This is the one that most of my clients, if not all of them, struggle with the most. And it's to create space for yourself to do this work daily. And what I mean by this work is whatever it is that you need to do, your daily rituals. Like, what do you do every single day to take care of your physical vessel? What do you do every single day to take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Because you need to tap into all those things: mental, spiritual, emotional, physical. You need to be taking care of all those 4 aspects of who you are every single fucking day to be the leader that you're here to be. And yes, you do this before you start chipping away at your laptop. So create space for yourself to do this work daily. This is why I wake up at 5 a.m. every day and why I don't get to my desk until about 9:15, 9:30. It's why I don't book any calls before 10 a.m. I've become undeniably devoted to my inner work. So I create the space for myself to do this work daily. Step number 2 is to honor your needs daily. And this includes boundaries. So what this means, if you realize that you're lacking sleep, of course, I'm going to start with sleep because sleep is like my favorite thing. But if you realize that you're lacking sleep, give yourself sleep. Give yourself permission to have a day where you can sleep in. Sleep is so important and is so underrated. You know, sleep is like us being plugged in. That's what gives us our energy. If you feel like you need some love and support, then give yourself that. And do this daily. Like, this isn't about, oh, okay, I'm going to honor my needs on like Saturday, it's me day. No, this is about honoring yourself every single fucking day. What do I need today? Like, in fact, that's an amazing, incredible journaling prompt that you can journal on every single fucking morning. What do I need today? And then at the end of the night, you journal, did I give myself this today? Just to reflect on it. Okay. And when I say boundaries included, be really aware of your boundaries. You know, what are you willing to put up with? What are you willing to not put up with? Who are you willing to put up with? Who are you not willing to put up with? Get clear on what your boundaries are and honor those boundaries daily. The third step is to know your tribe and lean into them for support. Now, I talk about community a lot, and it's because it's been one of my life lessons in this lifetime for sure. But even for me during the past 11 months, I've been surprised by those who fall off the map and I get it, during these hell weeks, when my depression's on high, my anxiety's on overdrive, my energy is very overwhelming. I get that. I own that. And I'm not sorry for it. It during those times, it is what it is. And some people just weren't ready to hold space for that. And that's okay. I have compassion for them. It's okay. You know, it's a lot, I know. And there's been times when I haven't been in a place where I can hold space for people when they're going through shit. And I get that, because we're all going through our own shit, right? So for me, it was about identifying my tribe, the people who I could really lean into for support when I needed it. And it was literally like a handful, like less than one hand. And I was okay with that, because I knew that these people were the ones that I could call for anything at any time. And they may not be there right away, but they're there for me. They're there to hold space for me. So know your tribe and have the courage to lean into them for support, because as much as you want to do this on your own, like I wanted to do so much of this on my own and isolate myself because I felt really ashamed of having to go through this. You know, again, like at this point in my life, like I shouldn't deal with this. Like I know better. I had to really shove that shame aside and open up to a few key people to support me. And I encourage you to do the same. The fourth step is to stay devoted to the inner work, no matter what. I use the word devotion intentionally because this is devotion. The inner work is a devotion to yourself. And no one but you can give this to yourself. No one. So when I say devotion, this is like making the inner work non-negotiable. Like I have, for the last, I don't even know, 15 years, spent an obscene amount on supplements in my life because it's a non-negotiable for me. And food, like I'm going to eat well and I'm going to take my supplements, and I can sacrifice on other things. You know, it wasn't until recently I really started spending money on my hair and spending money on my nails and spending money on my pedicures. But for a long time, my non-negotiables were just that, because my inner work is so important to me. So stay devoted to the inner work no matter what comes up, no matter, you know, whether you're in a launch period. You know, like I was just in a fucking launch last month. I just launched the activation retreat, and guess what? I filled it all but one seat, all but one fucking seat. And I'm not stressing out over it because I know the right person's going to come through. I know it, I feel it, and I'm confident in that. And I did that while I was devoted to this work. So it's possible. You just have to choose to be devoted, because again, the inner work is what's going to create exponential leadership. And then step number 5, and this was huge for me, do whatever it takes to deepen and elevate your inner work, even if that means doing something you've never done before, so you can experience something you've never experienced before. You know, for me, being this deep in plant medicine wasn't something that I imagined, but I was open to it because I was open to trying something different that could help me access my trauma in a different way. I was never into breath work until this year, and breath work has literally changed my fucking life. Like, it's now a part of the work that I do with my clients because it's life-changing. We can continue to do the same shit that we've always been doing. You know, for me, my daily rituals, meditation, working out, and I was like, yeah, remember when I said it didn't feel like enough? When things don't feel like it's enough, it's time. That's a sign that you need to upgrade your rituals and enhance the way in which you're practicing your inner work. So for me, I added more things for me to do, which meant more time on myself for sure. But hell, like, I'm feeling better. So do whatever it takes to deepen and elevate your inner work, even if it means doing something you've never done before. Okay. Inner work creates exponential leadership. I had a 25K month last month. I don't know what I'm going to do this month. And I'm also not worried because I am prioritizing me. I'm focused on being the leader that I need to be for my clients, for my audience, for my purpose, for my mission. Because at the end of the day, this purpose that you have, this mission that you have, this beautiful fucking change the world mission, this mission that is going to shift the conscious collective, this mission needs you to be a certain type of leader. And you need to ask yourself, am I being that? Am I being the leader who is devoted to my inner work so that I can continue to accelerate, to amplify, to grow upon my skills as a leader? Am I being that? And if I'm not being that, then what am I being? Right? For me, sure, I could have just not taken my healing to the next level. I could have just continued doing what I was doing because it felt easy. And my role as a leader would have suffered. My mission would have suffered. My purpose would have suffered. My clients for sure would suffer. And that's not the game I'm here to play. I was placed on this fucking planet to do big things. And that requires me to be devoted to myself, to my inner work, to my healing each and every single day. So that's it. I really sincerely hope that you gain at least one insight from this episode. As for me, if you're wondering, I am feeling great. I'm not saying that I am healed because, again, we are always healing. Healing is an infinite journey, just like growth. But I'm definitely feeling better, well enough to start sharing about what I've been experiencing, well enough to let you in. So just know that you're not alone. If you're going through something, you're not alone. And if you are going through, whether you're going through something or you're not, I encourage you to be devoted to your inner work, be devoted to yourself. In fact, be devoted to yourself and your inner work before you devote yourself to your mission and your purpose, because your mission and your purpose is going to thank you for that work that you're doing. And you can do all of these things simultaneously. You know, time is so much more than just linear. I think we all get that at this point. Inner work creates exponential leadership. Remember that. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Thursday's Thought on Today's Thought Leader, where I'm challenging you to rise up, speak up, and create a movement. Be sure to download a few episodes and drop a rating and review on iTunes so I could hopefully, finally, hit some charts. And if this message, today's message, resonates with you, if you are a leader who is ready to create that deep devotion to your inner work, I invite you to join me at the activation retreat. I have one seat left, just one seat. So apply today at rubyfremon.com/activation-retreat. That link is also going to be in the show notes. And then hit me up on social media and let me know that you applied. But do so like within the next few days, because I'm really looking to solidify this collective. If you have any questions about today's episode, or you just want to share your insights, which I love to hear. I love hearing from you. To everyone who's always hit me up in the PMs, letting me know what you learned. Like, I love that. Thank you. Please keep doing that. So if you have any questions, you just want to say hi, you want to share an insight, please reach out to me on social media. My handle is @IamRuby. And then make sure you check back on Monday for a new episode of Today's Thought Leader, featuring a dear soul brother of mine, Kyle Lipton. And in this episode, we discuss label-less leadership. Imagine leadership without all the confining labels. It's such a powerful conversation. If you've made it this far in today's episode, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a loyal thought leader. Thank you for showing the fuck up for yourself, for your mission, for your purpose, because there are people on this planet who need you. But that work begins within you. So remember, the inner work creates exponential leadership. Thank you so much, thought leaders. I'll chat with you on Monday.